Hello everyone, this is Tanaka from Hair and Makeup Zen. This time, I'm going to show you how to create a nice base with fine texture like this, basically just by braiding the hair without curling anything except for the ends. Let's jump right in. For blocking, put a clip around right here just to separate the front from the back. From this point on, take a slightly larger downward triangle at the top of the back. The width is about 3 fingers wide, and the depth should be just about the same as the width of 3 fingers wide. Separate this part with a clip. This is how it looks straight from the back. Just below the base of the triangle you just put aside, take 2 bunches of hair of about the same amount. Then, cross them like this. Once you've crossed them, twist in the right bundle clockwise, and then twist in the left one counterclockwise. This way, the hair will face up when pulled out like this. After that, take another bunch of about the same amount from the side that is currently underneath, and add it to the previous one. Once you've added it, you'll need to twist it in the same direction, but just once. Then, you do the same for the other side. Take the same amount of hair, combine it with the previous one, and twist it once in the appropriate direction. Repeat this process once again for each side. Here's how it looks now. If you raise your hand up at this point, the entire bundle should lift up like this. You can easily adjust the texture by pulling some up and then pulling the entire bundle downward at once. After all the adjustment, use a duckbill clip from below right where the 2 strands meet. Next up, take the triangle base you put aside earlier. Re-straighten and divide it into top and bottom sections. Twist them gently into either direction that you want. Give texture by pulling out like this. Then, place it right on top of the gap from the previous step. With this in place, use the same clip from before, adding in the twisted hair as well. This is the current look. While pulling out on this part, spray it to adjust the texture. It looks like this. As a next step, lower the clip to a position where you want to tie the knot, roughly behind your nose for later use. Imagine this point to be where all the hair meets. Then, from here, take the hair bundle slightly below the center and divide it into 2 like this. Twist them backward, just like before, and bring it towards the back. The key is to match the texture and size with what you already have on top. Then, doing the same thing on the opposite side, take some hair near the top and twist them towards the back in a very gentle manner. When this bundle reaches the back, remove the clip and tie them all together. When you do this, the rest behind it will be in the way, so use a clip to put it aside. Then, using a string tie, tie it tightly right here. When you've finished tying it off, keep the tie close to your scalp and push it upward to keep it tight. For the next step, take the hair bundle that you just tied, divide it into 3 parts and make a braid. When doing so, make sure to keep it tight at the root. Once you have braided all the way, tie it off at the end. Once you tied the knot, use a curling iron to curl the tip. You can unwind it as soon as it's curled. Then, spread out the braids and gradually add volume. For today's style, you would want the thickness to be about the same at the root and the tip. Now, let's wrap where the knot is around the root. Then, use a U-pin to keep it in place. When doing so, insert one end to the knot at the root and the other end into the knot by the tip. This way, the pin holds both parts for more stability. See, even if you let it go with your hand, it will stay in place. At this point, spread out the braid so that the size of the braid matches the size of the braid on top. At this point, you can use any of the hair ends to hide the knots from showing. It will look like this. Now, divide the hair into front and back by the ear-to-ear line. Take the back of it and make a braid. When doing so, the key is to braid while keeping it tight at the root. With the length of this hair, it seems like the braid is going to be a bit too long. So, pull out a bunch of hair along the way to add volume to it. When the hair ends are becoming thinner, use a band to tie it up. Curl the hair ends with a curling iron. Unwind the curled hair bundle and wrap it around the outer edge of the chignon you just made. Try your best to fit it nicely to its original shape. Then, use an American pin to fix where you tied around the back of the chignon like this. For the hair tip at the end, you can use an American pin to pin the ends of the hair to the back of the chignon. This way, the chignon will hide the pin nicely. Now, use a U-pin here to fix the floating part in place. For this, you should bend the pin's tip upward just a bit, just like a ski board. To begin, use your fingers and move the chignon where you want it to be. While you're at it, insert the U-pin until right before it reaches the scalp and move it downward like this. If you let go of the pin now, it will obviously move back. But if you hold it down and push it in, you can maintain the overall shape. However, U-pins that are pointing upward tend to fall out easily due to movements. So stabilize it with an American pin. Once firmly fixed like this, let's give it a nice texture by spraying it. So far, the result is like this. Now, let's finish braiding the side part as well. After curling the ends of the hair, divide into top and bottom and rope braid each. Let's start with the bottom section. We'll continue with the rope braid. Hold the braid down with a clip. We'll do the same for the top half. Make a rope braid in the same way, aiming for a shape that fits just in between the other rope braid and the base at the back. This way, it'll create a smooth transition from the back to the sides. Put together the two bunches from each rope braid, and with those bundles, complete the rope braid all together. At this point, place a U-pin at the core of the braid, right when it passes the knot at the center, making sure the pin stabs the tie as well. This will make it more secure. Then continue braiding from here. On the back of the chignon, insert the hair into the flipped side. Use an American pin to secure the chignon at the end of the braid, and then pull it back into place. Use spray on the braids to give it more emphasis. We'll do the same thing for the other side as well. However, this side will be the so-called heavy side, or the big side, so we'll divide it into 3 sections this time. It can be divided into the top part with the bangs, the top side, and the bottom side part. This is the same as the reverse side. Let's start with the bottom section. If you start from the bottom, it'll be easier overall because you can decide the outline and the place to be filled later. Once you've braided this, just like the other side, join it with the bottom section of the braid and secure it with a clip. Now, on to the front. This part can be braided in any way that you want, but this time, let's separate it into 3 bunches and braid it just up until this very first bit. Make sure to braid it tightly so that the first part isn't too far back. At this stage, pull the hair out gently and check the size and balance of the movement. Join 2 of the 3 bundles and do a rope braid with the remaining 2 bundles you have now. And now join the rope braids that were waiting to be braided. Adjust the size of the braid to match the chignon at the back that you've already put together. Use a pin by the knot to maintain the overall shape. Just as we did before, finish the base with a spray to give it a nice texture. Use a hair arrangement stick or something similar to push the hair ends in places where the chignon is lacking volume and balance. I recommend you use American pins to fix the hair ends if you followed this step. After a final balance check, you've completed this hairstyle. So, how did you like it? Even simple braids like this can become fancy based on how you put it together. So please try and give it your own arrangement as well. That's all for now. I've been Tanaka from Hair&Make ZEN, and I'll see you in the next video. Please subscribe to my channel and give this a thumbs up.